think that would be great.
I think that's a very helpful tip, and I think I'm going to apply to going forward. I hope it can help me.
Okay. I just saw Mogire came in,
goodness.
so talking later.
Sun rising, everyone.
Rising.
I know it's your afternoon. What time is it for you, Brainy?
I'm in Kenya right now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I'm gonna be here for 2 more months, then I leave.
Okay. All right. Yep. For anyone listening to this audio much later, this is Dr. Job Mogire from the House of Mastery, and I'm here with an amazing group of people. Welcome to the Breakthrough Challenge. Today is day 8. 7 days under the belt.
Wow.
8. And I wanted us to start off by doing a quick review. And we have a member of faculty from yesterday's session by the name of Victor Hongo, who was going to share with us how you identify when you are in a negative growth environment. Victor, good afternoon.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Tell us what you have, and then we'll see what other people have to contribute.
Okay. It was concerning the comfort zone. How do you know you're in a comfort zone?
Fantastic.
So
yes.
I did some research and I realized I'm in a comfort zone. Okay, some of the things I came about is the signs to know that whether you're in a comfort zone.
Yes.
It's like you feel comfortable where you are. You don't challenge yourself.
Yes.
And then you are unhappy and you do not know why. So those are some of the signs.
Yeah.
Then you say you procrastinate so often. It's like you're comfortable where you are. You don't want to do anything more. And then you said you use if or when instead of should or could. Things positive words that can make you go on. You rarely speak to strangers. That one is I don't know. They say you stick with the people you know. And then you spend your time doing the same things over and over. And I was wondering, is the routine really a part of comfort zone or what? Because they mentioned that you can actually predict what you're going to do tomorrow, because those are the things you keep on doing. There's nothing new for you to do, and you don't feel satisfied with your life. And then you are afraid to go against the crowd. You don't like making decision. You want someone else to make the decision for you. So those are the things that I found out. And then they said you wait for something to happen. You wait for the perfect time. So okay, I didn't really like what I was reading because it reflects some part of me. Yeah, so then they say there's you feel like you fear to fail. When you want to try something new, since you fear to fail, you don't try out. And then you avoid conflicts, anything that it's not in your nature. So that's what I came up with. There are so many things, but those are the ones that I feel like I should mention. Yeah.
Whoa, Victor, are you in the WhatsApp group?
Yes.
So I would like you to share there's a power in something that resonates emotionally with you. I would like you to share the top 7 that resonated emotionally with you. Share them in the WhatsApp group. The top 7 of the ones that you've read. You can say these are the top 7, and then you can give whatever number of bonus, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 bonus items. But our minds have a tendency to want to focus on just a few, select few. Share them. Number 1, make sure you've written them where you can evaluate yourself, like after 3 months, to see whether you've moved. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yes. Oh, and I would like to see what other people think in terms of how you can identify whether or not you are in a comfort zone. But before then, I want to make a comment. So routine, human beings have to live by a routine. We can't avoid that. We have to live by a routine. And the only way to develop a positive routine is to replace the routine we have with something else, with a different routine. I believe only a routine can replace a routine. You don't move away from the routine you have. You move towards the routine you want, so that the routine you want replaces the routine you have right now. That's number one. We have to live by a routine. And that's among what we call the 6 fundamental emotional needs. One of those emotional needs is security, and being able to predict how things are going to look tomorrow is part of how we survive. Let me give you an example. What if you woke up today, got out of your bed, and found yourself in the middle of Mozambique? It is your house, but now you are in Mozambique, right?
Okay.
You wouldn't tolerate the day. So we are wired to require security. When you step out of the house you don't want to find yourself in Saudi Arabia, right? So that security, the ability, we have to have enough security to be able to tolerate discomfort. And so we need routine. All of us, we need routine. So we are making the deliberate choice to determine what the routine is going to be, to make sure that it's not the environment that is shaping the routine for us. I hope that adds something. That's just my belief, and that's what I try to practice. So for example, right now, I am in my final year of training as a resident in internal medicine. I don't have to be up before 6:30. I don't. But I'm here at 4:30 every day. Today I got into the library, and for the first time, the library is dark. And I don't know where the light switches are. So it took me about 5 minutes going from corner to corner, going up the other floor until I found where the first switch is, which when I turned it on, then it showed me 2 other switches, turned them on, then it showed me the switches in the part of the library I am in. I had to move towards a new routine. I'm not trying to move away from the other routine, because that other routine needs to stay in place until the new routine comes in place. So you don't discard an old routine. You start moving towards a new routine, because you need the old routine as the ground on which you are still walking until this new baby grows old enough and strong enough to walk on their own. Let's see what other people have to add. Kemunto, I see you, James, Elena, Judith, and Brenny. Let's see what you guys have.
What's the question again?
So it's how you figure out, how you notice that you are in what are some of the signs and symptoms of a comfort zone?
Oh, I think, so I'll say like, just being contented, being contented with the life you're living. Like, you just feel like, yeah, it's okay where you are. It's okay not to really work on yourself. It's okay to keep the same old friends that you hang around with. They keep telling you, things. It's okay to, you feel like it's just okay to, do what, like the routines you've been doing every day. But when it comes to routine, it's like when you know that you've been out of your comfort zone, it's like how it's your actions or your attitude, how you do them every day. So it's like waking up every day. Are you contented with, maybe let me say, for instance, you used to waking up at 7 in the morning, right? And your new routine or your new goal, you want to be getting up at 6:30 to finish your goal or whatever you plan to do. So it's just like, yeah, your attitude and your actions towards that will tell, are you making an effort? Because you can really feel it deep down you, like, okay, I'm making an improvement, right? So you'll definitely know what aligns with your soul and what doesn't. So that's just my personal opinion about that.
Thank you, Brenny.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Let's move quickly, guys. James, I see you unmuted.
Oh, I'll say something that's really based on my personal experience.
Absolutely.
And it's when you get to a point where you find that you're the best you're the best in your circle, be it the circle of your profession, that there is no one ahead of you, a person that you can learn from, a person that is guiding you, teaching you. When you get to the point where you're not learning, but you're comfortably teaching others, then you're, in my opinion, you're definitely in your comfort zone.
Oh, I love how you put
that's
it. You're comfortably teaching others. Yes. Oh, yes. I couldn't agree more. Elena?
Yes. I have a list of 3. I say I don't see myself taking as many risks as I should. I don't see myself fully utilizing my talents, and things that disrupt my peace. I'm very apprehensive about them.
Yeah. Wow. I will say something after we've wrapped this whole section. That's, you said something very profound in there. Judith?
I'd say, like, most of the time you find yourself in a comfort zone when you have no goals in place. So you're just trying to do like what you're needed to do, but you have no personal goals that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you have nothing to measure and see that I'm working towards something. So you just end up being comfortable where you are.
Yeah. Oh, measurement is such a big part, because if you don't measure a marathon, how do you know how much time it's taken you, how many miles or kilometers you run? So that is huge. Kemunto?
Hi everyone.
Hi, Kemunto.
I think what I wanted to say has already been said, but just to what I like, when you find you're at a point where you're not being challenged at all, it's effortless. Whatever task you're doing, it's like a second nature. That's how you know you're in your comfort zone. You're not being challenged. It's things are coming so easily for you. That's how you know you're at your comfort zone.
That's a big one. That's the word, effortless, because there is no growth without effort. And if things become effortless, it's like learning to ride a bike or drive. It reaches a place where it becomes effortless, right? So I like what you said, Kimunta. So I want just to wrap up this section by saying this, that one of the hardest things for you and I to do is to figure out what we really need and why we need it. That is the hardest thing for us to know what we really need, because we are fighting with the accumulated exposure of our life's experiences to figure out what truly we need. And when I say need, that is, what is it that will fulfill you and fulfill me? Because for a hungry man, what does a hungry man need to feel fulfilled? Food. What does a thirsty man need? Water. What does a tired person need? Rest. A sleepy one, they need to sleep. It is possible that some of the deprivations we have experienced become the biggest driver for what we think we need to be fulfilled. Yet, we can spend the next 20, 30 years trying to fulfill that thirst or hunger or find that rest. But once you've eaten or once you've rested, then you realize, like, is that it? Is that it? So it is my challenge and your challenge to discover beyond what we think we need, to keep coming back to the question, what do I really need? What do I really need? Our environment is the biggest contributor, because remember, when you were born, when you were just 2-3 weeks old, your whole world was just one face, your mother. You derived security by looking into your mother's face. And anytime you were given to a stranger, especially when you started, getting to 2-3 months, every time you're put in a stranger's hand, you felt extremely, extremely uncomfortable. Now, can you imagine if that's how we grew up? where as tiny babies, we just need our mother's face and we feel secure. What if that's all we needed today? We wouldn't even be on Zoom. And if we are on Zoom, all our, we don't want anybody to hear our voice or anybody to see us. We don't want to leave home, right? But then as we keep growing, we start accommodating, interacting with strangers. When we go to school, there is separation, severe separation anxiety for some. And unfortunately, for some of us, that separation anxiety never really goes away. And I believe some of those experiences are the reason why some people end up staying in relationships too long. Stay in a relationship that is not helpful at all. Stay in a friendship that is toxic. It's useless. You have a friend who talks to you about you to other people more than strangers do, and you still have them as your friend. Oh, I have forgiven them. Oh, now we've made up. But you know for sure that this person is my friend. I really like them, or I think I'm making a difference in their life, but you stick with them. The question is why? You and I don't know for sure. It's not always easy for us to know what we need to be fulfilled. We don't. Most of the time we are driven by what we think we need, and what we think we need is structured around what the experiences we had as children. Let me speak about, for example, the question of partner. I don't know whether I'll be digging too deep than I intend to, but the question of partner, the question of the person to whom you will open up your heart, right? Most relationships are superficial. Most relationships are just several months or several years of pretense. Because if they weren't, when these two people break up, they should not speak as negatively of each other as they did. And every time a partner ends up speaking negatively about the other person, it reflects not just on the other person, but on the person who is speaking negatively. So the question is, for anybody who has ever broken up and then ended up, wondering whether that relationship was even worth it. Am I the same person who was so excited that I was texting at 3 a.m. to this person whom I now see as chaff? Because now it is, once that has happened, I have to let go of this person and evaluate my own experience. Look at my own experience from the beginning, before I got into this encounter, during the days of that encounter, and after the encounter. What part of me was seeing all positive, and what part of me is now seeing mostly negative in this scenario? Because this shows us that sometimes when we are thirsty for something, whatever it is, maybe thirsty for attention, thirsty for companionship, thirsty for somebody to talk to, thirsty to feel valued, to feel connected, to feel recognized, that sometimes we run after that. And that's why sometimes attention becomes such a big driver of what most people do. And yet you and I, if we are authentically going to grow, it has to go beyond attention. We have to become like an iceberg where there is a little bit that people see up here, but the true growth, the growth that is going to fulfill you and I in our 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, is growth that nobody else sees. In fact, it is growth that our friends look at us and wonder, are you crazy? You are attending what event again? Or you are reading which book today? Let's go out. Let's go on a road trip. We have time to go for road trips, but we have carved out sacred time. When it gets to 4 p.m. on Sunday, you are like, guys, I'm sorry, I have a meeting at 5. And you don't have to explain, because the meeting is with yourself. And that's perhaps the single most important meeting. We don't always know what we need. We are driven. Sometimes we are drawn to things, but we don't know why we are drawn to those things. And the challenge is for us to keep discovering that why, until we come to a why that is primarily internal. As long as the why is external, it will keep shifting. As long as the why is external, it will keep shifting. I almost got married in 2014. And after that engagement broke, it was the biggest struggle I have ever had. when you suddenly find yourself by yourself and you have to start wondering, so what has been happening? And that 2014 is when now the next year, 2015, I decided to leave the country, decided to change my environment because I had become so aware about where I was. I realized I did not lack skills. I did not lack abilities to bring value to people. What I lacked was consistency. But the bigger thing I lacked is a focus within what I could control. And so I moved to a different country. But when I look back, it's amazing what you can ignore, what you can tolerate, what you can shut your eyes to, whether intentionally or not, just because there is that inner part of you, there's a certain part of you that is finding some level of fulfillment in a situation that is not helping you at all, at all, at all. I look back and celebrate the fact that I had that encounter, but that it didn't end up in a permanent, I don't want to use the word entanglement, but in a permanent situation for the rest of my life, right? Because I didn't know Mogire. I did not know Mogire. I did not know what Mogire needed. I did not. I was so absorbed in what was going on at that time. Here is my personal belief. I think one of the most toxic ways relationships hurt us is that they distract us from our own growth. They distract us from our own growth. We start leveling our expectation on somebody else who also needs to grow on their own. So we start leveling our expectations on our best friends, on our family, on our bosses, on our partners, on our children, on our parents even. We start leveling those expectations on other people, when 100% of the responsibility to own up any errors I make and to also celebrate the successes I get and to also embrace opportunities to face discomfort, that responsibility lies 100% within. We don't always know what we want. And that is why we easily fall into the comfort zone. We fall into a routine where we get stuck. And which is why I really love that we started today's discussion with how do we identify that we are in a comfort zone. I want to share with you what I think are the foundations that we have to pay attention to for the remaining part of this challenge, foundations for personal growth. And I would like you to just take this down. I was thinking through this yesterday and just thinking through them and just reflecting about which of these am I strong in, which do I need to work harder on. So the foundations of personal growth. The first one is continuous learning. Continuous learning. And in continuous learning, I look at it as containing continuous learning. Number one, it must be deliberate. Number two, it must be structured. And this is the structure. The structure I try to use when I think about learning experiences. Number one is to prepare. Number two is to practice or learn. Number three is to reflect. So it's continuous learning, but it has to be deliberate. And the only way to know that it's deliberate is, number one, you prepare to learn. If you are reading a new book, do you have a place where you will take notes? Do you have somebody you will teach? Are you reading with a mindset to teach somebody? So you prepare so that you go in intentionally, deliberately knowing what you want. Number two, you do the exercise. Of course, when you are creating a learning experience, it's like setting a goal. It has to be smart, specific, measurable, actionable, results oriented, and time bound. So you prepare, you execute, or you learn, or you practice whatever you're going into. And then you reflect, what did I learn? How could I learn better? What else can I learn that could make this material more powerful if you, after learning, you taught somebody else. So the practice is you learn and maybe you teach somebody else. You want to give yourself the opportunity for what you learn to seep as deeply as possible. Number two, the second principle is contribution. Contribution, and that goes back to teaching somebody else. The offering value to other people is the surest way to ensure that you are growing. Offering value is the surest way, the single best way to ensure that you are growing. And I suggest that teaching is one of the most powerful. So teach people what you are learning here. But I want to challenge each of you that find a place where you will give benevolent service and create like 3 appointments over the next 3 months to actually go and do it. One example is go to a children's home. That is usually one of the easiest, one of the most fulfilling, right? Just go to that children's home, especially, and go in expecting to learn something from these children, but also just to go there and to offer them something. And make sure that you are doing that connected to your willingness to grow, right? You are doing it intentionally. You are not doing it as one of those, oh, are you free this weekend? I'm free this weekend. Let's go to a children's home. Or find some other way. Find a high school student who, or a school nearby, now that Form 4s are opening. Go to a school and speak to those Form 4s about your experiences. Just the fact that you've graduated from university, for them, that is success. So you have something to offer them. If you've traveled to another country, go in and tell them your experience, anything. So contribution, growing with the intention to contribute. Number 3 is a positive disposition. Positive disposition. We spoke about the 4 C's. Complaining, comparing, competing, and criticizing. I want you to just do a quick check on a scale of 0 to 100, right? Let's use 1 to 10, right? 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is, let me see how to frame it. So are you complaining, right? Are you complaining? So the question is just for you to check yourself, are you complaining? If you could rate whether or not you're complaining, 0, no complaints. 5, it's just one, in every 2 scenarios where you could complain, you complain only in 1. And 10, you complain in every scenario, right? It's important. This is extremely important. So can you just rate yourself? Nobody will see this on a scale of 1 to 10. 0, no complaints. 1, occasional. 10, oh, you're complaining every time. So complaining. Number 2, competing. On a scale of 1 to 10. 10, you see everyone with someone with a yellow top, you get out of the matatu and walk into the nearest shop and buy a yellow top, right? Yes, comparing. Are you always comparing or not? It's important for you to be honest with yourself. It's because the biggest one I have struggled with for me is competing. And the reason is that being in medicine in a US university, you're surrounded by some of the sharpest minds in this country. And so no matter what you do, there's an area where somebody is way, way better than you are. And I have to remind myself, Mogire, they may be so good in that area, but you speak with an African accent. They can't copy that. So I have to remind myself of what I had that makes me different, that makes me unique, right? The final one, criticizing. Criticizing. What is your score? And then as you reflect about this learning later, just set a new goal where you want to go. And here is my challenge to you with regard to a positive disposition, right? I'll say 2 things. Number 1, anywhere you don't have responsibility, you don't have the privilege of criticizing. Anything over which you don't have responsibility, disallow yourself the privilege of criticizing. If you don't have responsibility over that thing, you don't have you disallow yourself from criticizing, right? Number two, every time you are tempted to criticize, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Bite your tongue and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? If it's somebody who is acting in a certain way, what can I learn from this? It might be you thinking, what might be driving this person to act this way? Challenge yourself. So that's how you develop a positive disposition, so that if you do this, if you stop comparing, competing, criticizing, and complaining, it preserves a lot of your energy. The fourth principle is, we've spoken about this, is deliberate and planned self-improvement. It is deliberate and it is planned. And we will fulfill this as we continue learning, and especially once we get to the stage of drawing our self-development plans. It's deliberate and planned. It's deliberate and planned. The aim is to get to a day where everybody in your circle, in your family, among your colleagues, they know what your plan looks like, because they can see the impact, but they can also tell by your schedule. Number 5, the principle of pain and pleasure. The principle of pain and pleasure. And the bad news under this principle is for you and I to realize that neither is permanent. Neither pleasure nor pain is permanent. So our aim is to get to a place where we enjoy what to do. But remember, it is moment to moment. I don't even know how to say it. It is, don't let pleasure, don't let the desire to gain pleasure and avoid pain be the only driver or determinant in what you do. If we avoided everything that is uncomfortable and only went for everything that is pleasurable, we will be stuck in a comfort zone forever. So neither pain nor pleasure is permanent. It's, if any of these were permanent, then Monday to Friday would last forever for most people, or the weekend would last forever. But they come and go. Beautiful moments and non-beautiful moments come and go in terms of pleasure and pain. But happiness is not determined by whether or not you're experiencing pleasure. It is determined by your disposition. You can be happy to be learning in whatever circumstance you are. You can be happy to be growing in whatever circumstance you are. If we make the adoption of a positive disposition habitual, it empowers us to look at our situation very, very different. Number 6, personal responsibility. I don't think there is anything else to add there. You are the author of your experience, period. You are the author of your experience. Maybe right now you are an author in terms of letting other people, giving out the manuscript for other people to author what you will experience. But now it's time for you to stretch your hand and say, give me back that manuscript. Bring that manuscript back. It's time for me to start writing it myself. You are the author of your experience. This is one of the hardest pills to swallow. Even where I'm being criticized, even where I'm being discriminated against, those are external events. What I experience inside, I have the power to choose. I have the power to allow the environment to determine my experience. But even better, I can choose what my internal experience is going to be. Number 7, the principle of order. The principle of order. Steve Covey calls it putting first things first. Putting first things first. Benjamin Franklin calls it everything must have its place. Everything must have its place. This, I think this is the one that I struggled with the most when I started growing intentionally. I struggled with this the most, especially when it comes to small things. The other day, I was starting to look for a nail cutter, and of course I started looking everywhere. And then I'm like, I had created a list and assigned where each of these things should be. So I went to the list and found, that's where it is. Otherwise, I would have looked for it. And some of those things like a nail cutter, it has the habit when you're looking for it, you don't find it until the following day you are doing something else. And then it pops here like, hey, I'm here. Did you need me yesterday? It shows up when so everything has its place. And this is where we begin to make things very practical. When you are showering, right, include as part of your shower to clean your bathroom, which if you do it daily or at least every second day, then you don't need to do it over the weekend, to plan for it over the weekend. Immediately after you've eaten, unless you have handed utensils, you clean them up, right? Immediately you returned home, if you are wearing shoes and maybe you've picked some mud somewhere out there, if you make it a habit that immediately you get there, even before you sit, you will pick a sponge and wipe those shoes. You will develop speed, and then there's just a pleasure. There's just a pleasure that comes from completing something. Like start something, complete it, start something, complete it, start something, complete it. And these are tiny things, because the more wins we accumulate, the bigger the difference we start to perceive in ourselves. I don't know whether this is making any a difference to any of you, like that. Maybe it's in the evening and you've just finished eating, you've dropped the rubbish, and pick it and drop it where it's supposed to be. Most of the time, it doesn't take you more than 2 or 3 minutes. When you allow your mind to start doing those little things now, that is the first part of order. Number 2, of course, is allocating specific time for your activities. But I find that whenever we plan our days, we plan our days too stringently. Make sure when you plan activities, you give yourself a margin of time in between. If you have to move from your house to the gym, it's not going to be in 1 minute or 2 minutes. Give yourself, if you deliberately plan that it's going to take you 10 minutes, depending on how, allow yourself a reasonable margin of time. In other words, we will come to this area of cutting down exercise, cutting down activities, and focusing on doing what is top priority. So order is the source of harmony. Order is what leads to cumulative growth. Because you do it today, you did it tomorrow, you did it the other day. For all of us on this call, if you have been on this call more than 2 or 3 times, you can say that in the last 3 days, what is the place of these sessions? It is a specific time slot, right? And we are doing it over and over. Today, when I started, we said it's day 8. Now we can measure, because since we started, we have been doing it every day, and we'll be doing this for 90 days. It's unless a tsunami comes. Even the tsunami, I will try and log in on the top of the tsunami and continue delivering the sessions. To the extent that it depends on me, I will show. The final one is mind and meaning. Mind and meaning. That's the final foundation. Mind and meaning. Everything that happens in your life and in my life only means what I decide it will mean. Everything. Nothing has any meaning on its own. Everything only means what I decide it will mean. So the challenges that I will face, what do they mean? Let's say, for example, look at one of your weaknesses. What does that weakness mean? That weakness might mean, I was going to say screwed up, but I won't use that word. So I will try and get a different word. Okay, but I can't find, you are messed up, right? So it could mean that, or it could mean I need help here, or I need more consistency here. Reframing the things that are not the way we want them to be so that they can start looking the way we want. But meaning is so powerful. Meaning is the single most important determinant of your experience. If for example, somebody gossips about you, does it mean you are not worth, or does it mean that they are petty? They are so petty, or they are being unfair? Those are two. This is a whole conversation by itself. I will mark it, and so that we make sure we have a separate session all by itself. The power of mind and meaning. That changes everything. I don't want us to spend too much time on this section because we have covered most of. What time is it now? It's 5:15. I wanted us to have time to reflect together about what we've learned from today and the days that have gone by. So those foundations, I would like to hear from you. Which two of these foundations resonated with you the most, and how do you intend to apply them? Which of these two resonated with you the most? Actually, give us one that you think you are probably not so badly in, or one that really resonated with you, and one where you have the most struggle. Continuous learning, contribution, positive disposition, deliberate and planned self-improvement, the principle of pain and pleasure, neither is permanent, personal responsibility, order, and mind and meaning. Which of these resonated with you the most? And which of these have you had the most struggle making real in your life? I see Charity Mwangi. I don't know whether it's Charity or Ivy, but welcome. I know you've been on through most of the session. So let's go, and I'm going to start off with Kamunto.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Oh, who is it? Is it Charity or Ivy?
It's hold on. I don't know why it's giving my name as Charity.
That's okay. It's probably the way the account is labeled on. But in the meantime, as you make those changes, Kamunto, please go ahead on these principles.
Today I like the principle of pain and pleasure. I think you mentioned something about how we shouldn't be afraid of discomfort, unless I got that wrong. But
Yes,
I like
absolutely.
that part. So sometimes, even as you grow, it won't be all rosy and glossy and stuff. Sometimes you may need to do things that you're uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
You may have to go through seasons of just like, it's like going through the furnace and stuff. Then a principle that I'm really like working on, I am flourishing in, I would say is the one for contribution. Like currently I'm really working on my sister, giving her all these things that I'm learning. I'm like, yeah, you have to stick to yourself. You have to command your inner. So that's what I'm doing. I'm working on that. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I love that. All right, let's go with Elena.
Okay, so what I'd say I have on hand is continuous learning. I consider myself somebody who loves to learn something new every now and then. So that is something I'm getting into my system. Then what resonates with me and what I need to work on is probably the principle of order, putting first things first and having everything in its own place. That would make a significant difference.
I love that. That specificity helps you take the greatest advantage of the time you have. James.
Well, for me, it would have to be contribution. It's the point that I feel I'm really doing well in. Before COVID, I was working with my former school, high school, to start a program that would really they may come back and share their experiences. So that the students there do not only have to relate with experiences from their parents, people who are 40 plus, and really was really getting to share much of what I have gone through over the last 2-3 years, and that was working well for me and still is. But what I'm really struggling with is the principle of order. Order, and and I am really proud of myself for taking my small wins. Today I made my bed in the morning. I am still proud of myself to this moment.
Well done.
Thank you.
Great job, man.
And that's really what I'm working on. Thank you.
Awesome. James, isn't it weird how such a tiny thing like making your bed, you walk out feeling like, I have dominated this place. Let's see what lies ahead.
True.
Yeah. Thank you, James. Victor?
For me, one thing that I'm really good at is continuous learning. I'm always learning, even every time, everything that I'm interested in, I keep on learning. The other part is contribution. I'm teaching, I'm a chess player. So I teach small kids about chess, and I try to relate it with life. So that's what I'm good at. Something that I really want to work on is positive disposition. You said something good here about responsibility. If something is not in your power, it shouldn't really bother you. You should maybe evaluate. If someone is doing something that is not, it's not nice, you should ask what is, evaluate it and understand why that person is doing it. The comparison part, when someone else is doing so well, I'm wondering, hey, what has happened to me? Okay, so I'm working on that, and I've taken it positively in a way that I have to ask, what did this guy do that this person can be a role model? He can teach me a few things. So that is the part that I'm working on.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Victor. And the next time I'm in Kenya, I will come with my rook and checkmate you. I play chess.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Brainy. Let's go.
Oh, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'll say with something that I need to work on, or I'm still working on, is still principle of order. Having to put first things first, because I really love, I do love continuous learning, but sometimes I'll find I can wake up in the morning probably 4:30, but I'll use that time from 4:30 to 8, just, acquiring knowledge when I'm supposed to be cleaning the house or doing dishes.
Yeah.
And I felt like I spent so much time on that part. And then when it comes to contribution, I really love learning and, sharing knowledge with other people and getting to learn from other people too. So I think the only thing I need to work on more is principle of order. First things first. Yep.
I love it. We haven't heard from Judith and Ivy, right? So let's go with Judith. Judith. Oh, yes, there you are. Let's go.
Okay, so I'll start with something that I learned I need to work on, and that is the principle of order. And I think it's something that we were discussing with Brenny earlier. Like I was telling her how I'm having everything and I seem to not get enough time to focus on the things that I need to do. And I think that is something that you just brought it so well, that we need to have everything in its place. So it's something that I need to work on and see what exactly should come first. And then I need to order my life. And that is something I'm really determined to work on. The other thing that I can say I'm good at is mind and meaning. It is something that I've learned time that I don't really need to accept everything that people say about me, but I need to put it in a way that what do I understand from that, and what can I learn from it instead of having it affect me in any way? So that is something, because you cannot control what other people say, but you can control the way you perceive it yourself. So it's something that I've learned with time, and I think I've grown better in it.
Wow, you just gave us a quote. I can't control what other people say, but I can control how I perceive it. I am definitely going to quote you on the group. That is powerful. Yes, I can't control what other people say and do. I can control how I perceive it. And I think that is the personal responsibility. So it seems that I'm not alone in struggling with order. I'm not alone.
We are many.
Let's see, Hulda is joining us from Australia. This is her first session with us, I think. So welcome, Hulda, and go ahead and share what you picked.
Well, thanks, Rob. It's really exciting today. I was able to join because I think because of the timing, it's 6:25 p.m.
Yeah, I know.
So
Go ahead.
it's usually it's either I'm able to join or not, but I'm glad today I joined. And also I was able to listen to the recordings that you'd shared from day one. Well, yeah, and really inspired. Anyway, today was quite interesting. I know I joined while the session was still on, but yeah, the principle of order, to be honest, I think most of us are in it. Yeah, yeah, just getting like the year starts, you've got all these things, planned, or even the day, even the simplest of things, like you've got your to-do list in the day, and then all these distractions, and you end up at the end of the day, looking back and you're like, oh, I thought I had these and these and these and these to do. What really happened? I probably spent a lot more time on things that I didn't prioritize. So just coming up with a priority list is gonna be something that I need to learn. And also I like the comparison one, because most of us kind of get caught up in that triangle, if I can call it, where you're looking at your peers, you're looking at your mates, you're looking at your siblings, your friends, and yeah, and I mean, it's so easy, almost natural to say, how come I'm here, they're here, but yeah, one of the things I'm learning is also just being where you are, kind of enjoying where you are, because that is what helps you move to the next phase, if I can put it that way. Don't miss the moment while you're looking at something that you don't have, or something that is not yours. So just getting to enjoy what is yours at the moment. And I could go on and on. But yeah, thanks for sharing. And also, lastly, is I think the accountability part, when you get to speak about it, or when you get to share, um, it kind of affirms what you want to do. So I'm so glad you're coming up with this platform and this group where, when people say you can resonate with what they're sharing and say, oh yeah, that's me, and you're not alone in this. And the more reason why we got this as a challenge, because it's things that are not easy or not natural for us to do, yet we still want to accomplish and grow. Yeah, and we got the power.
Wow. Thank you, Hulda, and welcome to the Breakthrough Challenge. Thank you you shared a lot. Thankfully, we are recording each of these sessions, so it will be easy for us to go back and listen to what is shared. And so thank you. Yes, enjoying the season you are in. Yesterday, I shared about growing in season, maximizing your growth in the season you are in, even as you wait for other seasons to come along, so that when you move away from a season, you've made the most within that season. This has been substantive today. I had a much longer agenda planned. I didn't imagine that it would take us the whole session to cover the foundations. But this, so I was just thinking through yesterday in terms of, all right, so if by 31st December, there must be a significant difference between where I am and where I want to go, what are some of the things I have to pay attention to? And I'm going to draw my new personal growth plan around these principles. And when we come to doing that exercise, we will do it together based on these principles, based on how to measure. It's all the pieces. We'll bring all those pieces together, including the SIBCBE. If you remember, spiritual, identity,
Beliefs,
beliefs,
identity,
capability,
behavior.
behavior, and outside.
Outside was behavior.
Outside was environment. There are 6 layers. we will use those to figure out where we are. So this week we had started on Monday. We started off with an exercise I wanted to remind you about, the mental diet. Do you remember that exercise?
Yeah.
How is it going, the mental diet?
I tried the first day and I had to take a break and restart again. Yeah.
That's what is going to happen. I 100% promise all of you. So the aim is to go through 7 days without thinking a negative thought once. And you are going to restart it over. It's a 7-day exercise, but it's usually like a 60-day exercise, because you will go day 6, then you find yourself. So it's not that you don't think a negative thought, but that you don't hold on to a negative thought, right? So it's let's restart again today. Or if you have been consistent, congratulations, continue one more day. So restart today. Challenge yourself to, if you look at, let me see if I can, I will share the book, the little booklet that I'm referring to by Emmett Fox. I will share it. Either I will find out which is the easiest, either that book by Emmett Fox, or there's another source that I had found that exercise, the mental diet exercise. So I will share the information about the mental diet exercise so that you try it. That will help you with the principle of positive disposition in terms of challenging yourself, becoming aware of when negative thoughts show up. They will show up, and that's natural. Your responsibility is to let them go whenever they've shown up, and being aware that those negative thoughts have shown up. That's number 1. Number 2, as we proceed with the remaining sessions, we are going to cut back from 1 hour to maybe 45 minutes or 30 minutes, so that we do 30 minutes of discussing a topic, and then we spend the rest of that time in like 2 or 3 smaller groups discussing with each other, reviewing the things we've learned, reviewing what our experiences have been, so that we can start bringing to the discussions what you are experiencing, what you are discussing, so that it's not I also want to learn from your experiences. Remember what Judith said? Yeah, you don't have the power to control what people do, but you have the power to determine how you perceive it. That's something that hit me really hard, like, because it's a reality, and it's so profound, and the way she expresses it, not everyone will express it the same way. So we have a lot to learn from each other. So we are going to start carving out maybe 15 minutes initially, then 30 minutes, and hopefully, like most of December, we will have sessions where we just show up and discuss. Most of December, we will really talk about what we look towards the new year, and how we can, what the goals should be, how we can refine our goals, make them more specific, how we can develop a powerful personal vision and personal statement. We will do that in December. This month is primarily about preparation. We are literally preparing ground. So I need you to write this statement somewhere in your notes, maybe on the cover of your book or wherever. I am ready to change my story. Because if you're not ready, I'm ready to change my story, and put into brackets, what is your commitment percentage? What is your commitment on a scale of 0 to 100? How ready are you to change your story? I am ready to change my story, because if we implement everything we are learning here, like I said on Monday, if we implement everything we are learning here, 3 months from today, you will meet the people who know you, and they will be thinking of somebody that you don't know, because they'll be thinking about somebody you used to be, not whom you will be. And if we do this for 9 months, you have to be introduced to who you used to be.
Yeah.
I am ready to change my story. For me, so now I have like 6 or 7 t-shirts like this. And when I'm in the house, this is all I'm wearing, because I want to live this philosophy. I am ready to change my story. Are you ready to change your story? Into brackets, put
Yes.
in your percentage. I hope you get to 100%. Share in the WhatsApp group when your awareness meeting is, the specific date of your awareness, and make sure it is an actual appointment. You will meet and do a reflection of everything you've learned this week. Remember every hour, every day in the evening, to spend an hour reflecting about the day and then planning the next day. Everything else we will discuss in the WhatsApp group. Please contribute, share, drop in the WhatsApp group what you've learned today. We learn when we see what our colleagues are learning, especially the people who are on this call. That will be it today. Brainy, Judith, Elena, Victor, Kemunto, James, and Hulda. I wish you all an amazing rest of the day or evening for Hulda. Look forward to see you again tomorrow. That's it from me, Dr. Mogire from the House of Mastery. Goodbye.